Hey everybody, I'm here today to talk to you about 3 ways to remember people's names easily. In this video, I'll be telling you 3 simple things that you can do to easily remember people's names. Now, we've all been in that situation where you meet someone and you remember their name for like 5 minutes and then you see them again a day later, an hour later, a month later, a year later, and you're like, I just can't remember your name. I wish I could remember it. Or you've all been in that situation where you're thinking, what is that person's name? And you're not seeing them, but you just can't remember their name. And then it comes to you, a week later, an hour later, whatever the case is. I'm going to tell you 3 simple things that you can do to easily remember people's names better than you've ever done before. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Number 1, the first way is to repeat their name out loud. Let's say I was meeting a person named John right over here. So I met this person named John. I would say, John, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you. It's very nice to meet you. And then I would say, John, what do you do for a living? Or are you in school right now? Or what's your sort of life situation? That might not be the best question to ask now that I think about it, but the fact is that I'm constantly saying John. You want to say their name more than a few times. Now, don't overdo it, because if you're saying, John, it's a pleasure to meet you. John, what do you do for a living? You know what? Hey, John, you're a great guy. John, we should talk about this. That's going to be a little bit weird and awkward. And even though you'll remember their name, you'll probably never forget their name ever. But it's going to be weird because they're probably not going to talk to you ever again, because they're like, this person is saying my name 150 times as they speak to me. I would say, as a rule of thumb, if you're speaking to someone, you want to say their name at the beginning of the conversation. John, it's a pleasure to meet you. At the end of the conversation, John, it was awesome talking with you. And then once every 5 minutes or so during the conversation. So if you're having like a half an hour conversation, you can probably, say it a few times. A little hack, a little trick to use is to introduce them to someone else. So let's say you see someone else that you know. Over here, you have Linda. Hey, Linda, this is my new friend, John. I would like you to meet him. Right? Something simple like that, but repeat their name out loud. This way, what happens is you are saying their name, which allows your memory to remember because you say it, you're hearing yourself say their name, and you're also thinking about their name. So you're creating 3 different mental associations with their brain, with your brain, I should say. Which brings us to the second way to remember people's names easily, which is to create a mental association. Now, think about this right here. Very, very simple. Let's say that you meet a person. His name is Anthony. And Anthony, when you meet him, is always smiling. Just seems to just be happy about life. Always smiling, right? What you're going to think about is maybe a happy face emoji. The big, smiling, happy face emoji. The one that goes like this. And then what happens is, because you thought about that, you remember Anthony and this happy face emoji, picture above his head a little happy face emoji, just following him around. And what that does is that creates a mental association. Every time you see Anthony, you're going to remember the happy face emoji and you're going to remember Anthony. Now, it also works with names. So, for instance, if you meet someone named Jen, right? Jen sort of sounds like gem or gemstone. So what you can do is just picture Jen holding a gem like this. And then what happens is, when you see Jen, you're going to remember her holding a gem, and you're going to say gem, gemstone, Jen. Right? So you have to create these mental associations. You will never forget their names if you do this the right way, but you have to create these mental associations for pretty much everyone that you meet. It's a lot of mental work, but it does a great job, and you won't be left with trying to remember what the person's name is. The third way, and I actually use this often because I sort of learned it from my dad, because my dad does this. He's a real estate agent, so he tries to remember everyone's name that he meets and that he works with, and he does this, and it works wonders for him. So I sort of took it up and started doing it myself, and that is to write down their name and a feature that you remember about them. So for instance, Anthony, the guy that is smiling all the time, after I meet him, I'd say his name, I'd create a mental association, but I would go on my phone and I would have a note for all of the names, and I would put Anthony and his last name, and I would put, he always smiles. And I would go ahead And once in every, few weeks, I just scroll through the note and I look at all of the names of the people that I've met over the last few years. It's a big note, but I cruise through the ones that I already memorized. The ones that I don't know down pat, I look at them again and I study them. It just takes a few moments every couple of weeks and, a couple seconds after you've met the person. Now, don't do it in front of them. Do it, you don't want to meet them and then put it in your phone right away. Go back to your car when you're alone, write down their name and one of their features in your note, and it's going to help you remember their names very, very easily. And that's basically it. In this video, I've gone over 3 ways to remember people's names easily. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. Have you used these ideas, these methods? Let me know down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.